Today we're going to be going through a part two of our last session. We had a lot of really great feedback and questions that inspired us to dive a little bit more deep into some labs and more hands-on stuff. So thank you for those questions last time. Also showed that there was a lot of, I think, really valuable conversation around it. And yeah, we're excited to get into some more real-world scripting use cases. And yeah, with that, we've got myself, Ryan, again, one of the hosts for today, and we've also got Nahuel back again, who's going to be helping with some of the labs and the scripting that we have. So, Nahuel, nice to see you again.
Yeah, hello Ryan, hello everyone. I think that everyone pretty much knows me, but as the last time, I remind you that I'm part of the research team on Vicarious, and I'm basically in charge of making the scripting engine, the scripting library make growth in quality and quantity. So yeah, that's why I'm here.
Yeah, sounds great. In charge of making everyone more secure with scripts. Cool. So yeah, topic overview again. We're pretty much expanding on the same topic from last time. So again, if you joined us last time, we talked about how using VRX we can deploy scripts and some of the different use cases and some of the different trends that we've seen. And this time we're going to be taking that same topic, but we're going to be emphasizing the hands-on demo. So we've got a few different labs and a couple different scripts that we want to highlight and show the full process of how we can run those in our dashboard. So a little bit of an overview of that. We've got several different types of scripts in the platform, and we're going to be highlighting a few from each sort of category. So those can be operational things, they can be security things. That's definitely a very large emphasis of what we're going to be doing is trying to detect and mitigate different configuration-based vulnerabilities. But there are tons of different areas where these scripts can really help you to automate some of the things that can be pretty difficult, especially in the really highly distributed environments that we see very often today with multiple sites, multiple locations in the cloud, work from home. So having a centralized place to access a repository, run those remotely, get a really fast response, and make sure that these things are being applied properly so you can carry on with other tasks. X strategy. So this is something that's relatively new, and Nahuel's going to show us a really great demo of that. But basically what this is going to allow us to do is chain together some different scripts and help us solve some more advanced use cases, which is something that, again, came up in the follow-up questions from the last webinar that we had. So we're definitely really excited to show that one. So we just talked about some of the different script types. So there's three different categories or main categories. There's the ops scripts, which are operational scripts. So something to deploy a new piece of software or enforce some sort of standard configuration or something like that. So it's not necessarily tied to a CVE like a detection or remediation script might be, but rather something that is just a day-to-day sysadmin sort of task, something along those lines.
I think that it's important about what's most important about EdSops is that eh, there is a lot that comes to the deal when it's talking about automation on performance auditing, on hardware auditing, on software auditing, even when it's about making your system compliance to different standards. The goal of EdSops is just to make your life easier. That's the whole point.
Yeah, we definitely want to make everyone's lives a little bit easier with this. But that's a really great point. Getting inventory, getting a device's warranty status, or getting its battery health, or seeing what services are stopped, and all of these things that they might not be directly related to vulnerability management, but they are things that you have various needs for getting that type of data. So that's what the XOps scripts are all about. Detection and remediation scripts, on the other hand, they are two phases of the same goal, which is finding and fixing vulnerabilities. And the detection is going to be the finding component of that, while remediation is of course fixing it. So detection script will help you to check to see if you are running a configuration that might be vulnerable. You're missing a registry key, you're running an older version of SMB perhaps. Maybe you want to change something with your print spooler, like for Print Nightmare. There's all sorts of different security scripts that we have, and the first part of that planning phase is detecting where you have that risk present, where you're vulnerable to that, so that you can effectively remediate it. So once we run the detection scripts, the platform will basically inform you that you are running a vulnerable configuration or you're not, and you're good to go. At that point, you can run a remediation script, which will allow you to apply that change, which will remove the vulnerable configuration and get you to a place where that vulnerability is no longer exploitable or no longer present on the device, and thus closing that whole loop.
Yeah, and this, as Ryan said, this came in a pack. These are a duo that work together. You will be first running your edge detection to check your misconfiguration, and then you can trigger your edge remediation. So all these CVEs that you usually see on our different LinkedIn posts on CVE of the week, you will find them on VRX, and you will find them at edge detection and edge remediation. That's what these twins do.
Yeah, absolutely. One thing to note too, and we've seen this from time to time, is you can just run an X remediation script. You don't necessarily have to run that detection component, but it does allow you to decouple those processes and plan it out a bit more. Sometimes you just want to respond very quickly, and that's the name of the game, is getting that vulnerability removed as quick as possible. And some vulnerabilities that I think will lend itself to a little bit better, in the sense that it won't be as invasive to the user. It won't be something that is going to affect user operations or server operations, critical services and different applications that need to run for the business. You might just want to go and run a remediation. And a lot of those have a check phase built in. So they won't, basically an if statement or something like that, where if the configuration is missing that resolves the vulnerability, it'll go ahead and apply it. So there is some additional checking that's built into that, and you can just go straight to remediation, but having the detection gives you the ability to plan that out a little bit more, so you do have both options available. What is the Vicarious approach to this? Some of the different categories and X strategies, and we've been adding a lot of scripts to the dashboard, and we want to really make that much more scalable. And as we're adding more scripts, making sure that we can search for them and find them and tag them. There's a point where once we have so many scripts in the library, which it's again growing all the time thanks to Nahuel's effort and V Society and some of the other things that we're doing, we want to make sure that you can find the scripts that you need very effectively. So we've got subcategories: configuration, software, both deployment, uninstallation. We can see some of these represented in this image here. Auditing, MITRE ATT&CK framework, both blue team and red team. And then of course, all of the different security scripts that we've been talking about, not just the X detection and X remediation, but also system hardening, making sure password policies are in place, or checking how long ago a user, since the last time they reset their password. So these are all different types of things that we can do, and grouping them to make this a very user-friendly experience. I think with that, we can hop right over to the dashboard. Like I said, didn't want to spend too much time in the deck today, since we talked about it a little bit last time and just showed a couple screenshots, but I think everyone would like to see a demo. So Nahuel, you want to take it away?
Yeah, great. Well, what we are going to do right now is just a showcase. We're going to just try to pan around and look around what we have here in the scripting engine. So first of all, you see that we have more than 400 scripts, as I say, on the public library. This is the public section. But we also have the possibility to upload, to create your own scripts on the My Script section, and also to try different things, to try different scripts on the draft section. So we have a really, really complete way to provide you to not only bring yourself the script that you have on the public library, but to create your own and to test your own. So this is the three sections, and if we start exploring the public section, we will find that there is a lot of scripts, as I said. But let's, for example, start exploring the first one. This is a B-Society CVE script that is linked to a CVE, actually a really recent one. We had a lot of B-Society scripts. We can see that every B-Society CVE that are related to a edge remediation or an edge detection that we can see here on this tag, they are all related, they are all linked to a CVE. So we can come here, for example, and you don't have to, I don't know, just select and then execute it. You don't have to believe that this is actually what it does. You can come here, read the description, read what it does, and you can actually see all the script, all the code, and you can even edit it. You can come here, copy as my script. You can, when you copy this as your script, you will have it on the my script section, and it will be identical to the one that you had on the public section. And you can come here and you can edit the script, the same script that you had on the public library, on the public section. You can edit it here. You can add whatever you want, change some values or whatever, and you can save it, and you will have it on the public library.
Yeah, I think that's a really important thing to highlight because we're providing these scripts, but everyone's environment could be slightly different. So we're working with hundreds of different customers who maybe they're using the same application that is affected by the same vulnerability, but they're using it in slightly different ways. So one script that we provide that's works in a very broad set of environments might not work in their specific the way that they're using it. So having that as a starting point that you can go in, you can see what it's doing and say, oh, well, hey, I know we're using so and so service, so maybe I need to make this modification to work around that or work around some other policy that's in the environment. It still does give you that starting point, and it's built into the same ecosystem as your vulnerability management tool. And that also means that these are approved, they're trusted. It's not like you're going out to have to search some other repository, Stack Overflow or a GitHub or something where you're not so sure of the validity of that. Maybe you have to do some additional testing, which again is more effort, slows you down. Here you have something that's been validated by our team or created by our team in a lot of cases, and it gives you a really great starting point to build off of, or in a lot of cases just run it as is, but you do have that flexibility and that option, which I think is very important.
Yeah, so we are going to perform a quick create new script demonstration, but first we are going to talk about how we can filter and search the scripts, because there is more than 400 scripts. So it's really, really hard if you want to find a specific CVE that perform a, I don't know, a hardening configuration or a threat detection or incident response, and you are going to search on all these scripts, and you're going to have a hard time. So first of all, the first filter you can do is to search on the edge detection. For example, you can filter the edge detection if you don't want to perform anything that is too invasive on your system. You can choose perform edge detection scripts, or you can go, as Ryan said before, that you want to do a quick response to the different CVEs, different vulnerabilities. You can go directly to the edge remediation, or edge ops, that are the scripts that perform operational tasks. So this is the first filter. Then you can filter for CVE. If you are looking for a trending CVE that we should recently publish or something like that, you can filter the CVE. The operating system family, Windows, Linux, Mac, those are the systems that are supported by VRX. The script tags, and this is the interesting part, because I should show you that we have categories and we have subcategories, and it's really cool, but you won't remember them. So let's be honest, you won't remember them. So we have the advanced search right here on the right side of the filters, and we have this really nice side section that will display that you have here the different categories: security, configuration, audits, software, VRX, that are the scripts or the subcategories that are directly related to our agent, vulnerability, that is our AI, and edge strategies. I will go into that later, and meter. Okay. So you have these the categories, you have the subcategories here. You can start making a more precise filter, like I only want the script that come from the Vicarious team member, the Vicarious research team. So you click here, you click at SOTs, and you start searching for security configuration scripts, or you want incident response because you had an attack and you want to see what VRS can you offer to help you solve the problem, or you want to make, for example, update configuration. There is a lot of scripts that are really useful. Our clients, for example, love this one, the Windows 11 upgrade scripts to update your system from Windows 10 to Windows 11. And if you click here, you will see that this script specifically is file dependent. And again, you can download the script. You will see that I just download the script, and you can see the code. You can modify it if you need it. So again, this is not a blind. You don't have to blindly trust us on these scripts. You can review the code. You can change the code. You can make your own. So yeah, we have different categories, as I was saying. For example, get and list. You will have a lot of scripts to make information on retrieval, to list pseudo version, service info status, background activity details. Just mentioning some, a hardware audit. That's something that our clients love a lot. Also, you can perform hardware inventory and software audit to perform some software inventory also. Yeah, just mentioning some. Maybe we can now create a new script to see how that goes. Let's go demo live script, something like that. When you create a new script, you will see that the source is completely different from any other source. If you want to create an edge detection, edge remediation, or maybe if you want to add an edge sub, you can go to this society and upload it, and it will, when it's approved and reviewed, it will be on our public library. But if you want to only have a script for your team, for your dashboard, you can come here and you will see that the source will be user from VRX. You can write the title for it. You can set your tags if you want to maybe perform security hardening, or I don't know, a network. You can start creating your tags, make a description, the script for live demo, and you're gonna start creating code. You can start just developing, and you can work with Batch, CMD, PowerShell. So you can, I don't know, create your hello world, and you can create on Bash code also. So you can come here and say, I don't know, echo, and again, hello world. And same thing with Bash because it's the same in Mac. So you can create your script, you can save it. Let's save it. And once it's saved, you will see it on your My Script section, and you will be able to see that here it is. It says that it has code for Windows, for Linux, for Mac, and we will be able to run it.
Just a quick point there. Yeah. So what's nice about being able to add all languages for all three different operating systems there in a single package, basically, is let's say you were targeting a group of assets that has multiple operating systems in it. As long as the script here, as Noel just showed, with has one for each OS, the platform will automatically see which one is appropriate for the target machine and choose that one and run it. So you can manage them separately if you choose to. Not everything is going to be, one vulnerability might only affect Windows and not Linux or Mac or vice versa. But if you did want to perform something like Noel just showed there with a very simple sort of hello world, let's say that there was a real world example that we wanted to run it on all three, we could just add them to that same package, run it against any of our asset groups, regardless of what operating system they have, and the platform will sort of sort it out for you.
Yeah, let's do a quick demonstration. For example, this script, it's called get and list service info status. Let's select it. Let's go to next. We can do a quick review before executing it, before running it. We can review the description. For example, it says that it provides detailed information on services such as name, process ID, state and status, and we see that it's a really, at least on Linux, is a really easy command, and we can download it and check it on Windows. So as Ryan was saying, we can come here to the asset name and the asset selection, this one and this one, that is a Linux machine. So we have Windows, a Linux system, Ubuntu, and Windows 10. And you will see that I have the possibility on this script to run it on Linux and Windows. So that's something that is good to always check, to check that we are executing it on the right systems. But we will see that BRX will automatically decide and recognize that this is a Linux system, so it will run on the Linux command, and on the Windows will be running the PowerShell command. This is Ryan. It will take a few seconds just because it has to send the action to the agent. So in the meantime, we can talk about some good example, good scripts that have been useful to our clients.
Yeah, there's quite a few. I want to talk about a few things really. There's the CV of the week. I want to talk about that initiative a little bit, and the selection process for the CVE of the week, and how we're creating different scripts around that. And then yeah, there's several other operational ones we can highlight, but maybe we can start off with CVE of the week.
Yeah. Where is it? This is the one. This is the one.
Yeah.
43451. So yeah, as Ryan was saying, we every week on the research team we find a CVE, a vulnerability that is trending, that our clients are worried about, and we develop a script that detects and remediates that vulnerability. So this time, the trouble came with 2024 43451. This was a really trending vulnerability because it was also similar to a 0 day that was really trending. I think Zero Patch made the discover. So, do you want to say anything in particular about this script?
Yeah, so I mean, this is one that I believe Microsoft had said that they won't have an official patch for until around April. As Noel just mentioned, it's pretty similar to so it's basically an NTLM relay attack where the credentials can become exposed if exploited. Yeah, pretty serious. Open up some other attack vectors once those credentials are leaked, and would be a nightmare to quarantine and triage should that happen. So obviously sitting around on our hands until April is not really something that we want to do. So yeah, this is part of the reason why we've highlighted this one as CV of the week for this week. This is the latest, actually just a couple days ago was when it was officially released. So this is something that we had in the platform quite quickly following that announcement. People can go and use in their environment today in order to see if they are vulnerable to that, remediate it. It's something that is not going to cause any service disruptions in their environment. Of course, we do recommend testing it out in maybe a test environment before pushing it to production, but being able to apply that very quickly instead of having to wait until April, I think is going to be a pretty big advantage for folks trying to that they might be concerned about this vulnerability, which we've already heard it in some of the recent demos I've been doing with customers, some of the recent POCs. This has definitely been one that there's some questions around. So yeah, certainly worth taking a look into if you're running any Windows systems in your environment, which I suspect is a lot of environments out there. Noel, maybe you want to talk about like the specific components in the script a little bit further?
Well, our goal always when I work with the Base Society researchers or when I make these scripts of the week myself is to always provide a way to remediate the vulnerability, to mitigate it without patching. This is our goal always, because if you have the ability to patch, you're going to use VRX patch management. You are not, or you're going to update your system. You're not going to use these scripts. These scripts are when you are not able to patch. You're not able to get your systems down for an update, to reboot them. So the goal with these scripts is always to mitigate without patching. This is when patching is not enough anymore. So, for example, there is this scripts, this script that is a detection script. I can maybe change a bit the title to make it a bit short, and you will see is the NTON hash detection script, and we will see that it checks for a register. It will see if it is enabled, and if it is, you will be told that you are vulnerable to this CVE. So yeah, let's run it. Let's run it and test it and see if my machines are vulnerable to this CVE. Let's go with this one. Let's execute it. And maybe we can see the result on the get on list. Yeah. And as you saw before, this is a bit messy, this one, but this is Linux one, and this is a Windows one, and you can see that in both scripts it was able to provide the output without me specifying, yeah, hey, this is a Linux machine, so run this code, or this is a Windows, or run the PowerShell code. I didn't have to do any of that. I just
Mhm.
selected the script, selected the asset that I want to execute them, and that's it.
Yeah.
So, okay. This is an important thing to do. If you are going to copy a script, always do select PowerShell because it won't know what to do. Let's go again.
Yeah, and you can see that these results are coming in pretty quickly. It does take a couple minutes, like Noel mentioned earlier, for everything to load in to send the instruction file to the machine to kick off the job. But if anyone has used something like Intune scripts before, I think they'll be quite pleasantly surprised to see how fast these are. It's typically a matter of minutes versus using something we hear quite often. And I have my own personal experience in the past with Intune, and you're never quite sure if it's going to be a couple hours or maybe even longer in some cases. So yeah, it's great that we were able to see that pretty quickly. Another thing too, while Nahuel is running this in the background here, so we saw that output there. Now, of course, we can refine that down. Maybe there's some key services that you would want to search for there. Maybe you don't want to see every single service, just a few key ones, let's say. Another thing that we can do is using the automation component in the platform is we can send out a report, and that report is going to have that full output of whatever the script returned on the machine. So not just whether or not it succeeded or failed, but what is the actual output, which will allow you to have a better understanding and create different workflows and just track things. So that's another very important component there. But Noel, I see you're clicking around here. So can you explain what's going on? What have you been doing? And let's see what we've got.
Yeah, it's just run the detection script that we had on the this CB of the week, and you can see that this machine has NDN authentication enabled, so it's vulnerable to this CVE. So I just run the remediation script. It's going to take maybe a minute. You saw that the detection just run really quick, so
Hmm.
the remediation is going to take the same. But yeah, that's mostly the process. You run the detection script. I should run it on one of my assets, but you can create a group of assets and
Hmm.
then run an automation on all of them and check the output and just run maybe the script if they are vulnerable, or
Yeah.
if they are, or if they have a high priority on
Mm.
your team. So yeah, let's see if it's over. It's still in waiting. Sometimes it takes time because the agent has to perform other tasks. But I think we were going to talk about some other scripts. For example, We have a really good one, so sudo users. For example, this one. There is a lot of cases that when an attacker gets inside your systems, they manage to create a pseudo user because they need to generate persistence. They want to get in our systems and they don't want to leave. So one of the things that you can do on an incident response tag when you detect that you were compromised, you can select this script and go and run it on your, for example, this virtual machine of Ryan, and we can run it, and you will be able to detect if there is any unusual or don't wanted pseudo user. So,
I
for
think we even have
example,
another one that has a timestamp to see when they were added to the pseudo group. So in that incident response scenario, maybe we have a window of when we started seeing some suspicious behavior, and we want to see if a user was added to that pseudo group. So yeah, that's definitely a use case that could come in handy.
yeah. So this script is taking longer than I want and I will desire. So I have the output right here from a previous run that I did earlier, and we can see that the what it does is just disable the NTLM authentication. So yeah, that's the process. You select your script, you select the detection one, you check if your assets are compromised or are vulnerable to this vulnerability, and then our user will run the experimentation, and you won't be you won't have this need of turn off your device or stop your operation just because you have this vulnerability. You have the option to run this mitigation and don't worry anymore. On the script that leads to the users, we see that we have Ryan. So yeah, Ryan, you're not compromised. um,
It's good to know. I think those are some of the main examples. A couple of other ones that came to mind that we wanted to highlight just have come up in our conversations with customers recently. Windows 11 upgrade. Maybe Nahuel, you can showcase some of those Windows 11 upgrade scripts that we have.
Yeah, you
Maybe
can
not familiar.
upgrade your feature upgrade from 22H2 through 24H2, or you can upgrade your system from Windows 10 to Windows 11. You have a lot of other scripts for updating. What else? We have tree detection scripts for log4 files, security network script for making configurations, getting information on your firewall, Windows Defender, just mentioning some.
Yeah, one of the questions that I mentioned earlier that this got inspired by some of the questions that we had last time. So one of the specific ones that stood out was around TLS 1.0 and 1.1 vulnerability that affected. I think it was the SanDisk utility, I think. And so yeah, this is something that we can use in conjunction with the inventory that VRX provides, understanding which applications are running on the device, which versions. Now we can check that and say, okay, well, we have a version that could have that vulnerability, but it we don't know if it's necessarily implemented in an exploitable way. But we have one piece of the puzzle. We know we can potentially have it. So let's then go run an X detection script and see if we are running a vulnerable configuration. And if that comes back that we know that we both have the application implemented in a way that can be exploitable. So we need to take action at that point, and that's when we can pivot to a remediation script, which I think Noel is highlighting one here with some SSL and TLS hardening that we have in the dashboard, which is going to, I believe, enforce SSL 1.2 if I'm not mistaken, or at least it looks like it disables 1.0 and 1.1. So that would be a valid mitigation. Of course, there might be a patch for that SanDisk utility. They may have some other mitigation by now that's I believe from 2023. So that may be something where you want to perform both of those because TLS 1.0 and 1.1 could open you up to other vulnerabilities in applications. So it's these sweeping mitigations that have a can have a very pinpoint effect as well as a broader system hardening effect as well.
The reason why we always recommend or suggest that you run first an edge detection or a check script is because the scripts that don't do checking or don't do information retrieval, they will most likely change something on your system. So if you're going to perform, for example, SSL and TLS hardening, you will be seeing changes on your system. So you don't know if these changes will affect your configuration, your operation. So we suggest and recommend always choose things. First, run a check script first, and second, run it on a test lab. We always recommend run these scripts on a test lab because you don't know how this will affect your operations. We test them. We check that these scripts are don't do anything malicious. Or for example, the ones that come from the B Society community, we always check the code. We check the perform what they say that they are going to perform, but they always change something on your system. So always run it on a test lab.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. That goes with pretty much anything. We of course, just again to echo that, we can test the validity of the script, but it's difficult for us to check every single test that would validate it in a specific production environment. So yeah, that's always a best practice.
Yeah, as I was saying, I think that what our clients really enjoy more about these scripts is that it's about expanding BRS use cases. It's about having the ability to perform inventory on your hardware or your software, to perform performance auditing on your system, your CPU, your RAM or whatever.
This
So
disk space, yeah.
yeah. So yeah, it's about the spending BRX use cases. It's about that it's patching is not enough anymore. We're in 2024, about to get into 2025, and time has changed a lot. Patching is good. Please patch your systems, but it's not enough anymore.
Yeah, absolutely.